Hello and welcome. This is part 23 of 32 of my NFL ranking series, and for this one we have the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens finished last year at 8-9, and it almost seemed like the wheels basically just fell off at the end of the season. There was just so much. The team, it was like weird because this team looked so dominant. It looked like they were going to be really, really, really good again, and then all of a sudden, basically at the end of the season, the wheels just completely fell off for them, and they just couldn't seem to win a game. Now, when it comes to this year, Lamar's still waiting for his contract. I mean, I'm sure they're going to pay him because they've made the offense basically like around him. It's just basically going to be what's the number going to be and when are they going to pull the trigger. And then when it comes to what they're going to do this year, I mean, they're hopefully going to take a step forward this year. I believe they should. Hopefully for them to take a step forward this year, I believe they will a little bit. I mean, it looks like they're starting to tool the offense a little bit more around Lamar. They lost Hollywood Brown to the Cardinals. So it's going to be interesting to see what this team can do now. So yeah, like I said, they finished last year 8-9. I mean, if you look, that kind of stinks because they were 5-1 by week 6, and then basically they got their 8th win week 12, and then they didn't win a game the rest of the season. Yeah, yes, Lamar did get hurt, and that did obviously play a factor into it, but I mean, this team, just with everything going on, it just seems like they weren't fully in this year. I mean, like I said, the beginning of the season seemed like they were on fire and everything, and then Lamar Jackson got hurt a little bit, and then I think some stuff came out potentially about the wide receivers being unhappy with their targets and everything. And then that's basically, and then there's that missed pass with Mark Andrews again the Steelers game where they tried to go for 2 and they didn't get it, and that's basically, after that, their season basically just fell apart, as you can see, and they ended up losing a lot of games. But I mean, when it comes to last year, I mean, they still were a pretty impressive team. They showed that they could still be dominant. It's just also this team had so many injuries. So I mean, when it comes to I think this is by far the most injured roster in the NFL, and I mean they still managed to do pretty well. Like I said, they managed to fight through all the injuries, and they managed to somehow still get 8 wins and all that. So it's going to be interesting to see now that they're getting some guys back healthy and some new names, what they're going to do moving forward. Because, yeah, looking at the roster for this year, they have Rashad Bateman, Devin Duvernay, and then James Forte. I'm pretty sure that's how you say his name. And then, yep, J.K. Dobbins, who's on the PUP, Gus Edwards, who's also on the PUP to start, and then Lamar Jackson. And then defensively, they also have Calais Campbell still have Patrick Queen, still have Marlon Humphrey. So I mean, this is still a really good team. It's just like I said, with the injuries from last year and everything, it's going to be just they're going to have to basically keep everyone healthy this year to see what they can do. And it also sounds like they're going to try to build the offense a little bit more around Lamar. So like Mark Andrews and Nick Boyle, it sounds like they're going to do a lot more 2 tight end sets, and then try to because obviously the Ravens are a run-heavy team to begin with. That's who they kind of been for a while. It's going to be interesting to see if they can take the step forward this year, now that they lost Hollywood Brown. And now that they're starting to get everyone back healthy, it's going to be interesting to see if they can go back to the Ravens of the old. Yeah, looking at the Ravens schedule this year, I mean, they have a bit of a tougher schedule. I mean, as you can see, they play a lot of better teams. But I mean, regardless, this is a really good team. So they should have no issue, I think, winning about 10 games or so, like they did last year, or like they almost did last year and they did the years prior. I mean, this team was the number 1 seed before they got injured and everything in the AFC, so this team could still be pretty impressive. I think they're going to be just outside of being really good this year. I think they're going to make the playoffs. I don't think they're going to win their division, potentially. I think they're going to be they're going to be one of those teams that get in with a really good record that didn't win their division, but I mean, just looking at their schedule based on some of the teams they played last year and how they potentially could play this year, I mean, this team honestly should have no issues repeating the performance they did in the years past as long as they keep everyone healthy. So yeah, when it comes to the Ravens, there's not much to really talk about just because based on last year, they had so many injuries. That's almost what they put out there was almost not even worth watching or talking about. Because yeah, they started off the season 7-1 or whatever it was. Like I said, they start off the season 5-1 or looking dominant, and then they finished 8-9 just because of the injuries and everything. And I mean, they lost from week 12 on. They lost basically every game they played. So when just looking at this team, there's not a lot you can base off what they did last year just because of the injuries and everything. When it comes to this year, if they can keep everyone healthy, this team could potentially be a really, really good team. Before they were hurt, they were the number 1 team in the AFC last year. So when it comes to what they're going to do this year, potentially I think they're going to get about 10 to 11 wins, and they're going to sneak into the playoffs on the outside just because potentially they aren't going to win their division. And I think it's basically between them and the Bengals for when it comes to the division. Because yeah, potentially, it's basically. I think it almost is basically going to come down, depending on the whole Deshaun Watson situation. It might basically come down to them and the Bengals because the Steelers are still trying to figure themselves out right now. So I don't know if they're fully going to be battling in the division like that. They're still really good, but I don't know if they're going to be able to take the division like that. When it comes to the Browns, like I said, the whole Deshaun Watson situation, who knows with them. So it's really going to be interesting to see if the Ravens are able to take the division back from the Bengals, or what they're gonna do. Because now, basically, if they can keep everyone healthy, this is a team that could be pretty dangerous coming into next year.